Hello, everybody. Welcome to another GeneaVlogger live stream. I am Jarrett Ross, the GeneaVlogger, and I look like I'm really bright right now. Turn down that light a little bit. That looks a little bit better. My forehead's not shining so much. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, wonderful Friday so far. Yeah, I guess some of you might be on the weekend. I know we get a lot of folks waking up in the morning in New Zealand and Australia. But as we all know, big Ancestry update to the ethnicity estimates, the DNA origins, the admixture percentages. There's been so many various names that each company has called them. And even within specific companies, they've changed the names. But we know the percentages of the populations that they define. And so big update. And we're going to go through a lot of those results. For anyone that wants to have their results possibly reviewed on stream, this is done through the Discord server. So not sure if any of my mods are in here. I think I saw Charlie in here a little bit ago. But we'll have a link posted to join the Discord if you're not already joined. And when you go in, make sure you read about what you need to do to post. You need to post it in a specific channel. And you need to make sure that you post your results that are the what's changed image. Just because we have so many results, there's no way I'm going to be able to go through all of them today. But, you know, if you want to have your results as a possible review, you know, go ahead and put them in there. And because we do have so many results as well to possibly go through, I will be giving priority to anyone that does the super sticker donations for it. I meant to actually get a thing set up to kind of post it up somewhere, but I guess we'll just kind of stick with my regular one right there. So they're from Charlie. Thank you very much, Charlie. Wonderful admin here. So if you aren't in the Discord, go ahead and join. Make sure, like I said, you read the rules on how to do that properly. And I will also be answering questions throughout the live stream. So if you have any questions, you know, feel free to put them in chat. Can't guarantee I'll answer all the questions that, you know, I see, but if you do a super sticker, I do guarantee I'll answer those. So with all that sort of housekeeping stuff out of the way, I'm seeing some new folks jumping into the Discord already. So that's awesome to see. And of course, beyond just being able to post and, you know, we get reviewed, have stuff reviewed in live streams like this, the Discord community, we're very, very active. And so great place to get help from others and just to kind of just have fun with the genealogy enthusiasts. But first, before we jump into the actual results, I liked that Ancestry put out a white paper, and we're going to look at that white paper. For those who are not familiar with what a white paper is, a white paper is basically just a scientific breakdown of the reasons behind things. So this is, you know, what I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with white papers outside of the DNA world and genetic genealogy. But when it comes to these genetic genealogy tests, the white papers are the explanations of how are they coming to what they're telling us. And so this is the updated version. I'm going to try to make this as large as possible for everybody so that you can read it on the screen, because I know it gets a little pixelated sometimes. So we're not going to go through the whole thing. We're just going to touch on a few aspects of it. So they talk about here in the beginning, the summary, and these kind of are the big points. One, how our reference panel samples are chosen and the makeup of our 146 reference panels for 2025, how our algorithm works to estimate customers' genetic ancestral origins, and then some of the results from our most recent advances for inferring ancestral origins from DNA, which those are basically like the precision and recall numbers that we talk about a lot on this channel. So we'll get into that in a second when we get to that part of the paper. Now, of course, I've gone through the paper a little bit myself. Funny enough, there's actually been a couple of parts which I might point out that were like, I haven't seen that in white papers before, tried to look into it. And when I looked into it, I found other genealogists who are like, what exactly are they saying here? So some stuff in the white papers can be a little vague, but great way to understand what's going on. And for the reference panels, we're not really going to go too much into how they're getting them, but they go through all of these different ways that they are getting the samples, how they're defining the people that then fall within those reference panels, as well as how are they excluding outliers from those panels. So this chart is a PCA plot point, PCA analysis. I think there's a billion names for these. I don't know the exact proper one, but this is a way that they can help figure out outliers. So this is why they're showing this. So here we have this group, and we're going to try to zoom in so we can kind of see it a little bit better. But you can see these squares over here, and those squares are Italy, it seems. But if we notice, most of the squares are clustered over here. But they're pointing to this one because this one is, I guess, one of the outliers that, because of where it is in terms of the overlap, or I guess maybe not overlap's the right term, but basically where it is in comparison to the rest, they're deciding, okay, then we're going to exclude this because there's too much showing that they might actually be connected to other populations and thus wouldn't be a good reference. So this is just, just kind of an idea of how are they coming to the reference panels? How are they choosing who's in it? And then how are they excluding who they think is an outlier? And PCA plot points, I think, are always very interesting to look at, especially in terms of understanding the connections between different groups and why, if you're getting one type of ancestral reading, it wouldn't be surprising to get another type of ancestral reading. So in this case, we have Italy here, and then who's this big blue blob right there? Well, that's Greece. And we see a lot of overlap between them right here, but obviously Greece has a little bit more definition, but we know Italy and Greece, because of that Mediterranean connection, has a lot of ancestral history and connection. So way to help understand these reference panels. And so one of the big things when it comes to understanding your DNA results on any company is seeing what are they actually defining? What populations are they defining? So for this, these are the populations that they are defining. So whenever you hear the term, reference panels or whatever, that's a reference panel is the reference of people that they are using to figure out the DNA for others. So the reference panel does. I don't know if that helps more saying it like that. But it's great to know what are they defining, because if you're going in expecting something specific and you don't get it, but then you look at the regions they define and it's not a region they define, well, you can't expect it. A great example that is now available on a lot of these sites is Dutch. For a long, long time, there were no Dutch readings. So if you were Dutch, you were going to get stuff that didn't seem Dutch. At best, you might get like a broadly Northwestern European sort of thing, but most of the time it was French or German or British Isles or Denmark or things like that, but no Dutch. Well, now there is a Dutch. But if you didn't know that, it would make it very confusing for people. And that's a big thing that has confused a lot of people is, what? I'm not this? What are you talking about? But if they understood. And so this is a great way to look through and see what do they have. And you can, if you refer to older white papers, which do I still have? No, I actually had 2024s pulled up a second ago because I was comparing them, but exited out of it. I'm not going to spend the time to find it, but you can kind of look and go back and forth and see, okay, what have they changed? But one nice thing, which we'll see in a bit, is that with the what's changed page that Ancestry gives all of the users, on there, it does show you this was broken into this. So they actually tell you in like some notes why you're getting certain things compared to your last set of results. Now, for me, I think, a lot of people on these streams that watch me know I come from Jewish ancestry. And so the big thing for me was seeing, what are they having with Jewish results? And they did break it down a good bit. Not sure if we'll see any Jewish results today, but of course, I shot a new video yesterday in the midst of editing it. It's going to be coming out sometime this next week. that's going to be going into results from my family. And that includes my parents' results, as well as a cousin of mine who comes from a Jamaican branch of the family. So we come from Sephardic ancestry, and her side went from, well, we don't know exactly where from, but we assume Amsterdam because we've got that Y chromosome proving the connection. But their side went to Jamaica at some point in the 1600s, 1700s, something like that. But I have access to their results because they gave them to me for things like this. And so I will have that in the video. So that's going to be really interesting to see some of that. But just going through, yeah, we can see some of these different definitions that they have. And they do get pretty granular in what they give. So, you know, we're getting the Netherlands here. So I was talking about the Dutch readings, but then we're also getting Quebec as its own reading, Brittany, France, France itself, obviously, that makes sense. But then, you know, with some of this Spanish, Basque, Canary Islands, Northern Spain, regular Spain, well, not regular Spain, just Spain, Portugal, the Azores, Madeira, and then even, you know, the big one that they've been going on and on about are their British Isles updates. So they have Cornwall readings, West Midlands, Devon and Somerset, Northeast England, Southeastern England, Northwestern Europe, East Midland, you know, all this stuff. So a lot of breakdowns going on now with the British Isles. So yeah, lots of big updates. So this part, they talk about the algorithm that goes into how they're defining it. They also talk about their new auto-phasing thing. I think that they have a more precise white paper on the phasing side of things. I should probably look that up, but the side view, or let me explain. Actually, there might be a lot of people who are like, phasing, what is that? Phasing is where you take your DNA. So using this example up here, we have this person's DNA. Well, we don't know what came from mom and what came from dad. Like in this picture, yeah, it makes it seem very succinct, like, oh yeah, this is mom, this is dad. But in reality, that's not the case. In reality, it basically starts out where all of this is gray, and they have to figure out, well, who is green? The dad, you know, we'll say green's dad's side, the red, blue is mom's side. And so, you know, what is coming from dad's side? What is coming from mom's side? And so that's what phasing is. Now, phasing, you usually, or the typical phasing is you have a parent and a child, and you actually compare the child to the parent. And then you know, okay, well, whatever the child shares with that parent, that's what they inherited from them. So everything else came from the other parent. But you don't always have the parent to test. And so they have this phasing that they've come up with that gives them a high I don't know if confidence is the right term to use. When it comes to statistical analyses, you have to be really specific about what terms you use, I think. But basically, it's just, you know, they're using phasing as a way to have better results. So they're just kind of talking about a lot of the different pieces that go into it. I think this is just interesting to just kind of like scroll through, not necessarily talk about, but putting in the chat right now, this is a link to the white paper so everybody can go and check it out themselves, because I think it's really useful to go through and understand. So let's see. Okay. Why is it? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I saw I saw that, and I was, wait, what? Stuck on stuck. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Seeker the Brony. Did I sleep through the stream and miss important parts? No, you did not. Literally just starting. We're starting out by looking at the white paper. So I know, actually, I haven't looked at how many people are in this stream, and it's definitely gone up since I looked last. White paper is the explanation behind how they come to what they come to with these results. And so now we're going to get to the most important part of the white paper, and one of the spots where it was kind of like I got a little confused of like, well, what are they talking about? And that's this section with the precision and recall. Now, this mean overlap, this was the piece that I was a little lost on exactly what they mean. And took a look at a couple of different forums too, and I saw a lot of other people and saying the same thing of like, what exactly are they talking about? And I didn't see any good explanation. So if anyone knows a bit better about mean overlap, I don't think I've seen that in a white paper before, and reading up about it didn't make sense. But we do have precision and recall, or I guess here they have recall and precision. And up here they have an explanation of those. So for overlap, we're not going to cover that. You can read it. If you figure it out, let me know. But yeah, it was a little bit of a head scratcher there. But for recall, much more straightforward. So that's the proportion of expected regions that are observed in the output. So the example here, there's 100 simulated people. Their pedigrees include an ancestor from Norway. So we have 100 people. We expect them to get Norwegian readings. But only 75 of these people have Norway in the results. So the recall is 75%. Basically, out of the 100 people that should have gotten Norway, only 75% of them got it. Now, precision is looking at it in a slightly different way. So this is the proportion of observed regions that are expected. So we have 100 people, and all of their results include this Leinster, Ireland. But only 90 of those 100 actually have a ancestor from Leinster in their pedigree. So only 90% of them actually expected it. So our precision is 90%. And by looking at the results in these ways, it gives an idea of how, I hate using the word confident in here, but I'm just going to use it because it just makes sense. I feel like most people in here, we're all laymen for the most part when it comes to DNA science stuff. And so with that, it gives you just a better confidence. The higher your precision, the higher the recall, the better you can trust what you're seeing. And so going through these can be very helpful, where if you have a reading that you were expecting to get, but you don't get it, well, what's the recall on that? Is it a low recall? Same thing if you get something that you weren't expecting. You know, you expected all this other stuff, but then all of a sudden you get this other thing that you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, does it look like it's got low precision? And that could possibly mean that, okay, well, a lot of people are actually getting this that aren't expecting it. So, you know, we've got so many people that expect it, but way more people that are getting it. And so when you look through these, you can see some of them, like Northeast England, 37.44%. That's really low precision. So there's a lot of people getting Northeast England that aren't expecting that at all. And so this is just a great way to get an idea as you're going through your results of understanding why certain things might be popping up that you weren't expecting, or certain things aren't popping up that you wouldn't expect. So, you know, great example of an interesting one here. We have Southwestern Balkans. So 100% of the time, the recall, 100% of the time, if someone's expecting to have Southwestern Balkans, they're going to get that reading. But a 58.72% precision. So that means that even though every single person that has Southwestern Balkans that expected it got that reading, a lot of people who weren't expecting it also got the reading. Yeah, sorry about that, Charlie. As I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is Irish. I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. Like, I mean, so many Irish things. It's like, okay, pronounce it the exact opposite of what you think. So honestly, the fact that it's Leinster, or hopefully it's Leinster. Maybe I got that wrong too. So, all right. Now that we've done that, let me just stop sharing for a second. I want to make sure that I have this pulled up to the right spot. All right. I see a lot of folks posting in here. Okay. So the first one we're going to start with, and I actually have this bookmarked, and I think I saw her in here somewhere, is Lemur Cat. So Lemur Cat, if you're in here, go ahead and say something. So we make that a lot bigger. I wish you could. Yeah, can I? No, I can't. Trying to make it so that I'm just looking at this. So, okay, so we're going to read through what Lemur Cat said. So, brief summary of of documented ancestry, 1/8 Swedish, 1/16 recent North Wales on my dad's side, more Wales on both sides, farther back. 1 French third great grandmother, tiny amount. 15% colonial era German, and the rest likely English with some Scotch, Irish. And so basically just kind of a big hodgepodge of Northwestern Europe. So this is the What's Changed page. So once again, for anyone going to the Discord, posting their results, make sure this is what you're posting, the What's Changed page. This is what I'm going to be reviewing in this stream. And there you are. I thought I saw you in there. Hello, hello. Good to have you in here. All right. So looking at these results, very typical Northwestern mixture, but someone that has a known major mix of different areas of Northwestern Europe. And we're getting England and Northwestern Europe, and see, they say split in two. So that 49% is now being split into Northern Wales and Northwest England, Southeastern England and Northwestern Europe, West Midlands and Northeast England. But one thing a lot of people may notice is that the percentages here are not going to add up to the original percentage from the last result. So even though they say it splits into this, it doesn't mean that only the DNA that was previously being read as England and Northwestern Europe is comprising these new readings. Because just between the first two readings, that's 53%. So obviously a lot more is getting lumped in here. And so you kind of, as you review more, it makes more sense. So Germanic Europe, 19%. It's now 8%. Now it's Southern Germanic Europe. So I think that's definitely gone into these readings. Wales, now 7% Southern Wales, with 16% being the previous. So obviously some of that went into the other readings. And then for these other various readings that none of them are new, they're all the older readings already. So the Irish went away. Central Scotland and Northern Ireland went up a percentage point. Then we have Sweden going up 8 percentage points. Then we have Cornwall coming into the mix at 2%. Then we have Spain going away and the Aegean Islands going away, and then Iceland going up. So very interesting. And I will also say, as I go through these results, if the person is in here who I'm talking about, definitely say something in chat, or I mean, you don't have to, but say something in chat if possible of what you thought of your results. Did you like them? Did you not? Obviously for those that give us some information, we get a little bit of an idea. So based on what she was saying, it certainly makes sense. What's connecting. Wow, that was a lot of messages I heard come into Discord. So a lot of people joining. All right, so now we're going to jump on to Matt, one of our wonderful admins. Not sure if he's in here right now. I know he's kind of a busy guy right now. He hasn't been able to help out as much, but still wonderful member of the community. And we've got Matt's results. I don't know, when I said that, I said it and I felt like I was saying it like Trump. He's a wonderful member of the community. Terrible voice, but okay. Known majority Ulster, Scots, and Irish ancestry. No clue how to pronounce that. Connacht. I know that's wrong. I know I got it wrong. I'm sorry. But that's a surprise. And then presumed English ancestry, so losing Danish. Gaining Northeast England makes sense historically. Anything else is a bit of a shock. In this case, Spanish. Last time, Germanic and North African. And then 23andMe, MyHeritage, Genome Link, Family Tree DNA give a tiny bit of West Asian for Matt, but it seems difficult to place. Mother and maternal grandmother have increasing West Central Asian results on MyHeritage, so I guess I'm part something else. Interesting. Yeah, that'd be an interesting one, especially with your maternal grandmother and mother getting those results too. It's like something might be hiding up there. So looking at Matt's results, we have Scotland is the old reading, 73%, and that's now split into Central Scotland and Northern Ireland. It's 76%. I hope I pronounced this right. Hebrides and Western Highlands, Scotland, 5%. So getting a bit more nuanced here. And then we have Ireland split. We have the 12%, the 2%, and the 1%. But I guess this Connacht, if I'm pronouncing it right, is a bit of a surprise for Matt. Losing the Danish, gaining the Northeast England, which I don't know. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense with Danish, honestly. Like with the old reading being Danish, and then, or I shouldn't say we know for sure that the Northeast England reading is coming out of what used to be the Danish reading, but with the old reading being Denmark and then the new being Northeast England, I mean, it's basically, seems like that kind of matches up. Let me see, Brian. Hebrides. Hebrides. Let me know if I did better. It's pronounced like donut. Oh, Connaught. Oh, okay, Connaught. Okay, interesting. Because there's a Conneaut in Michigan, but that's spelled very differently. But I wonder if there's a connection there. That was interesting. All right. So yeah, so with the Denmark, Northeast England, it's like Northeastern England, Denmark, it kind of makes sense to me. Germanic Europe, losing that. North African, losing that, but then gaining that Northern Spain, which, yeah, that's kind of interesting, especially with Northern Africa. It's like, well, it kind of makes sense with Spain coming into the mix, but with it going Northern Spain, I'd think if anything, Southern Spain, but Northern Spain, interesting. I do wonder if maybe that is, Northern Africa, Northern Spain, if that is the connection. I don't know. So yeah, so this one, very interesting. Yeah, I don't think Matt's in here. I'm sure we would have seen him comment already, but if you are, let us know what you thought. And one other thing I should actually say for people that, if I go through your results, also mention if you've tested elsewhere, are any of the other sites, do you find them better than the current one at Ancestry? And one thing I'm going to do too, for those that don't know, we've got a poll going on. What do you think of your updated results? And of course, YouTube, with its limitation of only 4 fields, I had to figure out a good way to get a good spread. Kind of wish I had 5 options, would have been perfect, because I really wanted to have didn't really change whatever. But so there's love them. So if you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, do that. Okay is just, it's okay, nothing that special, maybe a little bit better. Dislike them is kind of same thing as okay, but maybe a little bit worse. Like it didn't really get better, got a little bit worse. And then hate them, obviously, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Hate this, hate this. So I'm going to let that go for a little bit more. We've got 119 votes already. So I know we've got more than 119 people in here, and people are always coming in and out. So yeah, go forward with that. So now we're going to get to Antinous, who is Greek Cypriot, or at least his mom is. So these are her results. And so looking at these results, which I think this is really interesting, getting the Cypriot, that's not a super common one that I get to see a lot. I certainly feel like I see much more Greek in general, like Balkans or things like that. But yeah, so with Cyprus, 97% previously, now it's 98%. So it's doing pretty well. Southern Italy and Eastern Mediterranean is now gone. Central and Eastern European is now gone. And interesting that Lithuania getting 1%, because with Cyprus and then Lithuania, I mean, I wouldn't really think of a very strong connection other than just like a general, like kind of large Eastern European look if you broke it into just, West Europe, Central Europe, and Eastern Europe. But, Lithuania and the Baltic states, and then Cyprus south of the Balkans. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I wonder how many people who have Cypriot ancestry are getting Lithuanian readings. And then Northern and Central Greece, 1%, definitely makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But with Lithuania, that being a new reading, I do wonder, at 1%, if it is true, and let's go ahead and put that banner up that we have often. At 1%, if true, could be a 4th great-grandparent or further back. Could technically be a 3rd great-grandparent, just didn't inherit that much DNA from them. But yeah, I wonder if, does anyone know, are there actually any known historic migrations from Lithuania to Cyprus? Because I mean, I don't know the history of Cyprus super well. So I think honestly, as an American, just knowing where Cyprus is, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good accomplishment for as an American. Granted, I know my geography a lot better than most Americans, you know. So hold on one second. All right, got to get a little bit of a drink in here. So, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's probably noise more than anything. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I saw somebody else mention this in a couple of, or not a couple comments, a comment somewhere, that a lot of these results kind of have a feeling of like older results, in that with this update, both at Ancestry and the update at 23andMe, there seems to be a lot of people getting a lot more of the smaller trace results of 1% and 2% and things like that. Now, I don't know necessarily if, you know, things are getting better and now we're seeing those come up because all of a sudden they're like actually starting to be able to reliably pick those out, or if it's just kind of they're trying so much more to get more granular and, you know, have more regional, you know, specificity, and that's causing it where it's like, okay, they push it a bit, it kind of, you know, loses its quality, they buff it back up, and then they push things again and get more population. So yeah. All right, so continuing on, now we have Emilis, who I'm pretty sure I saw on here somewhere, and yeah, I don't know, comment if you're here, but going through my grandfather's and my new results, and I'm only going to look through one, and because we have so many people posting, I'm just going to do one. So, oh, there you are, Emilis. So let me know, do you want me to do yours or your grandfather's? And I don't know which one's on the left or the right. Yeah. Tell me, left or right, left or right. But good point for anyone that's posting like multiple, like I know some people like posted them, their siblings, their parents, like a whole bunch. I'm only just going to do one because we do have so many people that have posted. I know there's no way I'm going to get everybody. And so, maybe my grandfather's the right. Okay. Yeah, let's go with that then. So, all right. So here we have her grandfather's, and just going back, we didn't read through it. Ashkenazi Jews is still there at 1% for my grandfather. Thought German would go up instead of down, as my grandfather's great grandmother was German living in Lithuania. Ukraine is random for me, unexpected. I think anyone from the Baltics suddenly got all the Baltic states. Yeah, I think I've seen that for a lot of folks actually in posts that people have done. Wales for my grandfather, very random too. I've uploaded both of these into my heritage. My heritage had Balkan for my grandfather. Ancestry didn't, and now they do. All right, interesting. So going in here, Baltics split into 71% Lithuania, 9% Estonia and Latvia. Then Central and Eastern Europe split from 15% into 4% North Central Europe, 3% Northeastern Poland. And then Germanic Europe split into Southern Germanic Europe. Okay, interesting. So yeah, Southern Germanic Europe. I mean, with all of the other stuff going on in the more northeastern part, Southern Germanic's kind of interesting, especially with the Northwestern Balkans reading in there. Let me go back. What did she? Because this is your grandfather. So, oh yeah, you didn't exactly. Okay, yeah, you didn't say exactly what you'd expect. So, but yeah, let us know kind of just a general breakdown of what you'd expect, because looking at this with that 7% Southern Germanic Europe and then 3% Northwestern Balkans, it makes me wonder, you know, is there like a great grandparent who's kind of from that sort of area, maybe not even southern Germany or northwestern Balkans, but maybe even like Czech Republic or Slovakia or something like that. Which, yeah, I don't know, that'd be kind of interesting. But I would, that's kind of the way, looking at this genealogically, it's like, okay, well, what could we get from this that might make sense to find an ancestor that we weren't expecting or were expecting? So, all right. We continue on. We've got the Ashkenazi Jewish, the 1% stuck around, split into one of the two Ashkenazi Jewish readings, the Central and Southeastern Europe reading, which very interesting that it's still in there. So, it does make me wonder, maybe somewhere back there, 4th or 5th, maybe even 6th great grandparent or something, could even be further, that was Jewish. And yes, Southern Germanic Europe, his great-grandfather was a Shatner, and the Shatners originated from the bottom of Germany. All right, cool. So, all right, we've got that, and then we've got our first super sticker, Cheel, with £9.99. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Very much helps support the channel. I'm going to assume you're doing this because you posted your results, so I'm going to look for them in here. Excuse me. If you posted under another username, if it's not Cheel, let me know, and then I'll look for it. And if you're just doing it just to help support the channel, let me know too. And thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. So, yeah, you all can see how many results we've got going on here. So, okay, yeah, I'm not seeing any. So, yeah, I'm going to give you a second, Cheel. Let me know. But either way, I really do appreciate the £9.99. I did see earlier someone had asked what were my thoughts so far on these results. And so far, I don't know if I really have a good enough idea. Yet. Where was I? Yeah, right here. I don't know if I have a good idea yet. For the Jewish results, I think I have the best idea of my feelings on it. And honestly, it's the way I've felt about Jewish results on all the sites. It really doesn't give anything of value, or it doesn't give any great value genealogically if you're fully Jewish. But I think it is interesting that I have seen for a lot of the people that have known Sephardic ancestry, they are getting those Sephardic readings, but it still seems to be some of that Sephardic is probably getting lumped into Ashkenazi and other things. Now, when my video comes out, hopefully in a few days at least, on my family's updated results, you'll kind of get a much better idea of that, because with my DNA, which I haven't tested on Ancestry DNA, but that's because my parents have both tested on Ancestry. So for me to test on Ancestry, the only benefit would just be to see what my specific admixture results are. And maybe I'll do that sometime in the future, but with my parents' results, I get way more than enough with that. So with my mom's results, we expect her, if recombination was perfect, to get 15.6% of her DNA would be Sephardic. And with the readings, I think she ended up, actually, I don't want to give it away. But we expect 15.8% with her. We expect, what is it called? 25% with my cousin who has the Jamaican ancestry. So with my cousin, she had a grandparent that was fully Sephardic. It's Mike. Hey, Mike, good to see you. So funny, Mike actually was one of my consultation clients, which great spot to mention for anyone that wants to do consultations with me. I have available consultations. Just send me an email and we can get those set up. And funny enough, Mike was one of the consultations I had a while back, and he actually came into a stream after that to give me a super sticker to say how much he enjoyed that. So greatly appreciate all of that, all of the support, Mike. I really do. And I did see your results towards the bottom. And there we go. We've got Mike here. Oh, and I totally missed it. All right. So I managed 9 DNA tests for Northeast people, and we have all gone from 50 to 70% Scottish to 10 to 20% Scottish, and remaining now in Northeast. All right, interesting. Yeah, Mike, let me know in the comments, what kind of just a general percentage of what you would expect. Even if it's basic, just like, great grandparent level or something. But starting out, so we have that Scotland split from 57%, now 10% Northeast Scotland, 3%. Let's see. Hold on. I'm not going to say it until Hebrides. Hebrides or Hebrides. I don't. Maybe I got one of them. Please let me know in the comments. But either way, so 3% Hebrides, Western Highland, Scotland. Then we have England and Northwestern Europe split from 25%. Now, big split. Northeast England 59%. And interesting that with the Scottish now Northeast England, that I guess that kind of makes sense. With Scotland. But yeah, that's very interesting. Then we have 3% East Midlands, 3% West Midlands, 2% Northern Wales, and Northwest England. And one of the interesting things with their updates in the British Isles is that I wonder if it's a way for them. Well, I don't know if this was part of their thinking, but for them to kind of try to compete with the one big thing that Living DNA has, or I guess it's not the one big thing, but with Living DNA, they have for a long time had the most granular breakdown for the British Isles. They also have the most granular breakdown for Africa results. So two very, very different results that they have supposedly some of the best breakdowns for. And I've seen a lot of people saying that they are really impressed with Living DNA results. Now, they don't have any Jewish results on Living DNA. So when I've used it, it's like very lackluster, and there's not a big database on there. So, unfortunately not very useful DNA wise, but very worthwhile to get in every database. So highly get it. Suggest uploading the Living DNA if you haven't already. But I am kind of curious for anyone that's done Ancestry DNA and Living DNA, and you come from a Northwestern European ancestry, especially British Isles one. What do you think? Do you think that or do you think that it's getting a lot closer to how Living DNA is, or maybe not so much? But yeah, I agree with this too. Yeah, the update was really British Isles focused, and I would honestly just say Northwestern European focused in general. That definitely got the biggest update. And I think outside of that, I think obviously all throughout Europe, the Baltic states are now split up. It's not just Baltic states. Now you have Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Balkans are broken up much more. Okay, good to know, Vicky. Mine is closer. Cool. So yeah, so it's they are definitely doing a lot more. But yeah, Northwestern Europe, that also seemed to be a big hitting point for 23andMe's update. And it was a big hitting point for MyHeritage's update in the earlier part of this year. So many updates this year. The DNA companies, they're getting into the fight. It's it's like the Pepsi Cola wars and all that. It's like the DNA testing company war. So they're all competing who has the best admixture. And the sad part is the admixture is like so genealogically useless compared to the DNA matches. I mean, it's great, it's helpful, but yeah. Interesting. I see this from Patrick. Seeing the Sephardic appear across my mom and her sister's results feels correct with the Converso family we think were historically Jewish, and it ended up in Mexico. Yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, and with the Sephardic families of Mexico, it's such a difficult history, and it's a very contentious history because there's a lot of disagreement of how big it was, especially when it comes to the whole B'nai Nusim in New Mexico. But it's like there definitely were Sephardic, crypto-Jewish families that were pretending to be Catholic but actually staying Jewish that ended up in Mexico. And actually, funny enough, through my Nunes Vaz line, through the Y chromosome testing that we've done, we've actually found some Mexican families that somewhere along the line they match up to us, and I think it was about like the 1300s or 1400s, like right around that, you know, the end of the Reconquista. So yeah, very interesting. So back into Mike's results. And let me just double check if Mike hasn't posted anything yet. I'm guessing he might be writing it out. But okay, so now we have Ireland is split into Connaught Ireland at 7%, Donegal at 4%, and then Leinster at 3%. And then Germanic Europe, now northwestern Germany at 2%, so that went down a bit. Wales split into Southern Wales, now 3%, and then Cornwall gone, but Brittany, France up at 1%. So yeah, very, very interesting, especially with, you know, all of the Scottish or the people from Northeast or for Northeast people. So I guess Northeast British Isles have all gone from 50 to 70% Scottish to the 10 to 20%. And now I'm guessing everybody that falls into that is getting the Northeast England. So yeah, very interesting. So awesome. All right. So once again, thank you very much, Mike, for the super sticker. Technically, the 2 super stickers. I really appreciate both of those. Really does help support the channel. So great place to mention for everyone else. Can't guarantee I'll be able to hit all of the results that were posted in here, but just like for Mike, if anyone does any super stickers what did I say? Actually, I don't even know if I said it at the beginning, I think. But basically, I think what I was thinking was like anything that's like a $5 American super sticker or equivalent or up, I'd do that. So I did just see this. LARB, when did the update occur? And the 9th of October, or as us Americans would say, October 9th. So, okay, so we've gotten these, and now we're at Veer. So I'm not sure if Veer's in here. I don't know. Either way, Ancestry updated results for me. It is wrongish, but I think it's just because Scandinavian Nordics is too close to be split up. But my new Ancestry is on mother's side, all southern Sweden and Denmark. Father's side in a few different regions of Sweden, including broader areas with Finland. But like the Danish going away makes no sense. There's still people alive that meet the Danish family, and one grandmother was half Danish and easily trackable. There is a place I got stuck in my family tree with a name that seems common in Dutch speaking areas. Was it De Jong? So not impossible that it is correct. Yeah. For those who don't know, De Jong is the most common name in Dutch. It means the young. So, and funny enough, it doesn't matter. All right, to the results. So for Veer, we have for Veer, we have Sweden, originally 78%, now going up to 82%. Norway, just going down 3%. Denmark, like they mentioned, completely gone. And then the Netherlands, now 6%. Finland, no change. And Central and Eastern Europe is now northeastern Poland, still at 2%. So that really does seem to be the biggest change is Denmark just completely going away. And with you having known Danish ancestry, that's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, how reliable are things? And that's also where, okay, let's take a look at the white paper. Let's look at some precision and recall numbers. So with Denmark, now it's gone. How good is the precision? So the precision, or not the precision, excuse me, the recall. Because the recall, we want to see of the people that expect it, how many actually got it, because they were expecting Danish, but they didn't get it. And so is that a common thing? So here we go, Denmark. And there we go. We've got 84.44%. So 15.56% of the time in their study of the results, they found that people were not getting Denmark readings when they should have been getting it, which is the case here. So it certainly makes sense. And then it doesn't make me feel any better seeing that with the Denmark precision that it's 63.96%. So that's basically of the people that they are giving Denmark to, there's a huge chunk of them, 36.04%, that is getting Danish and aren't expecting it. So yeah, so very interesting to see that. All right, so let's continue on. So Antinous, we already saw earlier. Yes, we did. Suvalki, you didn't post. I'm not sure if you're in here, Suvalki. I know you posted a second time, and it came out like this, where it was like I had to download it or something. Yeah, these ones. So I'm not sure if you're in here or not, but if you are, post the one thing. the what is it called? What's changed page is what it's called. The what's changed page. So yeah, sorry, I'm gonna skip yours just because I don't want to do the whole clicking back and forth thing. So okay, we're gonna move on to Mr. Seeker. All right, so for Mr. Seeker, in the past there was absolutely no German things listed on my test. Suddenly have Germans in Russia and northwestern Germany. Interesting. Okay. When some of the new groups were added, Ancestry had given me Wales in 2023, removed it in 2024, gave it back in 2025, which I've actually seen other people say that same thing, I think. Stuff was taken away in 2024 and came back in 2025. Okay, well, you're just telling us what happened, not telling us what you expect from your family. So we're just going to look at the results then. England, Northwestern Europe split from 44%. Now it's Northeast England at 34%, Devon and Somerset 7%, Northern Wales and Northwest England at 5%, and East Midlands at 3%. Oh, is that you? Seeker the Brony. Okay, there you are. Hey, Seeker. So yeah, Seeker, let us know in chat what percentage do you expect of breakdown for your family tree? Excuse me. All right, so continuing on. So we have Scotland split from 26%. Now it's that Central Scotland and Northern Ireland at 17%. And then let's see. I saw people correcting me the last time I said it. Hebrides. Oh. Okay. Hebrides. Hope that's it. Ik hoop het is goed. Dropping my cat. All right. So 2% Hebrides. And then France split into 12% Quebec and 2% France. The Quebec one is really interesting. Like I'd be really curious for those who are Quebecois or know that you have Quebec ancestry. Are you actually getting that result? Because that's pretty granular, but you know. It makes sense to me that they would actually be able to get a defined reference panel for it. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look. I'm kind of very curious. What are the precision and recalls for Quebec? Here we go. Actually, not that bad. That's not that bad. 83.93% and then 98.13%. So when they're telling people that they have Quebec ancestry, they seem to be pretty good. Pretty much everyone except 1.87% are getting it. And then 83.93% that are expecting to get Quebec ancestry that do get it. So I guess a good amount of people that might expect Quebec that it may not pop up for, or might not pop up as much as you'd expect, but still interesting. Yeah. Okay. And then Ireland split from the 5% into 6% Munster and then 2% Connaught. Is it Munster or Munster? I was just thinking about that. I was like, wait a second. Kind of thinking about like the cheese, Munster cheese. Which does it come from there? Maybe it does. That's interesting. All right. Southern Wales now popping up at 5%. So that was not there before. Northwestern Germany popping up at 5%. Another new region. And then Iceland, Iceland now going away. And then the Germans in Russia coming up at 1%. Which actually, yeah, let's look. Germans in Russia. Do they have it listed? Oh, they call it Russian Germans. Wait, what? Oh, this is a different one. Okay. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, they're doing the different. So this is single origin evaluation. Interesting. All right. So Russian Germans. I think that's just, was it precision? Yeah, and then they have that overlap reading, which I'm not sure. Which I actually wonder, the overlap readings all had over 100%. I'm kind of curious looking at this. Is this supposed to be precision and recall here and not overlap and precision? I could be wrong. Doesn't matter. All right. But either way, just looking at the percentages, Russian Germans, they seem to be pretty good with it. So, yeah. All right. So, all right, let's jump back and go on to the next results. I see we've been going for about an hour or so far. So do a couple of more probably. But of course, I should say this is an active Discord. So if you want to post your results in here, even, right now we're getting towards the end of this. So not sure if, I'll get everyone on here, but there's, we have a very active DNA chat where, everybody's chatting about it, and a lot of people can, if you need any help or anything, you can get help. All right. So yeah, we've got CTC, the historian. Here are the DNA tests for me and my maternal grandfather, with a ton of insight from me, as these results can never be perfect. I see it here already in the chat. CTC. Okay, perfect. I would prefer mine, which is the first one on the left. All right. So here we've got CTC and with notes. So I like that. With notes based on my knowledge and research. Not sure if y'all can read that on your end, but all right. So we have Finland staying the same and broadly correct. You expect 18%. And then what is that? 6% Tornedalian? I'm not familiar with that, but I'm guessing that's an area in Finland, and I'm not very familiar with areas in Finland. I think I can't even think right now. I'm an outlier as an American, knowing that there are Sami connected to Finland. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Every time I say something that I don't know, I'm going to explain why I still feel fine as an American knowing other stuff. All right. England and Northwestern Europe split from 19% into 21%, Southeastern England and Northwestern Europe. 4% Northeast England and 2% Northern Wales and Northwest England. And then that checks out with what the family knows and obviously came to the US. Germanic Europe went from 15% to 21% Southern Germanic Europe. Still confuses me, would think only 2 to 5%. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so, yeah, that's definitely, especially going up. Now you're much closer to the equivalent of a grandparent. So, yeah. Interesting. Tornedalians aren't now down by Ancestry, but they're sort of between the Sami and Finnish ethnically, live on the Sweden-Finland border. Okay. Interesting. All right, so continuing on, Spain splits from 14% down to 2%, and you're expecting 12% North Portuguese, 0.4% Galician. So Portuguese DNA hard to distinguish. Yeah, it's definitely surprising that it just disappears, but I'm kind of getting the feeling that maybe some of that was getting into that Southern Germanic Europe. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense with Northern Spain. It's kind of, you got a big gap of France between Southern Germanic Europe, and Northern Spain. But I mean, maybe there is some connection that's causing difficulty for them to distinguish that. But yeah, that's very interesting. It's very interesting. And then Scotland, Hebrides. I'm gonna get this, guys. Hebrides and Western Highlands, Scotland, now 5% from the original 11%. Scotland, and that checks out. Central and Eastern European split from 7% into 5% Slovakian, 2% North Central Europe, and then that makes sense with 12% Lemko Russian. And then Denmark going away at -3%. That makes sense for you. Norway's no change at 3%. But, I know a lot of folks will talk about with Finland, they are very distinct to be able to get the readings from. And I guess that could be true, but I still, it doesn't surprise me too much that you'd still get Norway and Sweden readings. I mean, obviously Norway readings being a little less expected just because it's further away. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's confusing, but definitely not as confusing as this 21% Germanic Europe. 2% Cornwall disappeared. That made sense for you. Oh, the Netherlands. Yeah, Dutch settlers of New York. Okay, very cool. So you're getting that 3%. And so Dutch settlers of New York, then you're, old New York. I guess New Amsterdam would be a better way to say it. New Amsterdam. And then Cornwall disappears. Baltics disappears. Ireland split from 1% into 3% Munster, 3% Leinster, and then that makes sense. Irish settlers of Virginia. Yeah, you've got some old school American family. I'm sure you've got. If I built your family tree, I bet I'd be able to find connections between you and a lot of the YouTubers I've done on my YouTuber family tree series, like Mr. Beat, Matt Baker from Useful Charts, Drew Durnell, Max Miller, a lot of those folks. Steve Heimler too. Yeah. All right. And then Madeira, Spain, 1%. Must be confused with mainland Portuguese. Yeah, probably. And then Sweden coming in now 1%, probably from Tornedalian branch. Okay. So yeah, that was very interesting. Very interesting results there. And with those results, and our poll is now up to 170 votes. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. And I don't know if it pops up on the screen or is there a way for me to pop it up on the screen? If there is, I don't know exactly. But all right. So with that breakdown, 51% of you found that the new results were just okay. 33% of you love them. 11% dislike them, and 5% hate them. So, I mean, I'd say so far, at least based on the people watching my stream, it seems like a pretty positive reception overall. Certainly a lot of issues I think still standing in there. But yeah. Oh, Rusin. Okay. I thought you were just like abbreviating Russian in like a weird way. I was just like, oh, okay. Like I was actually about to say Ruski. So, okay, interesting. So Rusin, I guess that's a population group. Yeah. Oh, and Gazillion. I'm Portuguese, got 8% Madeira, but I doubt it. Yeah. So let's continue on. And so we've got Piggy, and Piggy was one of the ones that we checked out for 23andMe. Piggy, if you're still in here, let us know. And let's see. Well, what an interesting ancestry update indeed. So on my mother's side, it's pretty much British. The region is actually Highland, and our great grandmother is Irish. So the Irish who came to London during the famine. On my dad's side, again British. Although I'm curious where the Scottish and Northeast England came from. And then the mystery Spain Mediterranean onion seller. Okay, so I'm guessing that's a known ancestor with no records anywhere from my grandma's cousin said so. Okay, so my dad's 2 times great grandfather, I think. My paternal grandfather is pretty much British. So basically, it's a lot of British, a little bit of Irish, a lot more British. So I'm not sure if Piggy is in here, and I see multiple results. So I'm just going to go with hers. Give her a second. Take a drink of my invisible drink here. I saw somebody comment that they're like invisible drink. But all right. So I guess we'll just go with her results. So here we've got the breakdown where we've got England and Northwestern Europe split from 37%. Now it's 44%, Southeastern England and Northwestern Europe, 3% Northeast England, and then 2% Devon and Somerset. Then with Cornwall, now it just went up a percentage point, so that's pretty strong. Which she kind of just mentioned British, but she did mention areas. Yeah, there we go. Devon and Cornwall. So paternal grandfather is pretty much British, Devon and Cornwall. And then when we look at that, boom, Cornwall, 22%, the equivalent of what we'd expect for a grandparent. And I know I really wasn't saying this, but this is the paternal grandfather who we would expect her to be getting that Cornish from. And so he's not 100% Cornish. Very interesting. But the amount she's getting is kind of equivalent to a full grandparent of Cornish ancestry. So I guess the Cornwall and Devon ancestor. I mean, we see Devon and Somerset there. So yeah, interesting. So I just wanted to jump to that. So, okay. So going back, we've got Ireland, 17%, now split into 17% Munster, 2% Connaught. The central Scotland and Northern Ireland going down to 2%. Big drop there, which I guess some of that must have gone up here into the Munster and Connaught. And I wonder if any of that also kind of got into the England readings. But Germanic Europe going down completely, 0%. And then Wales staying the same, just being more defined as Southern Wales. Brittany, France coming in at 2%, one of the new readings. Egypt, no change, still 2%. Greek and Albanian gone. Malta still there, no change. So this one's very interesting. And it's also just kind of interesting too in the sense of Cornwall with her 22%, and she knows she has a paternal grandfather who is Devon and Cornwall. But then we look at the paternal grandfather, and he's not anywhere close to 100% Cornish, but we know he's ancestry basically Devon and Cornwall, so the readings make sense for the most part. But it does make me wonder, that's the type of thing where I see that, and then it makes me wonder, okay, so does that mean if we look into Piggy's other ancestry, could we possibly find some other percentages that are coming from other lines? So, finding that Cornish somewhere else. And I see Valdemies. We're going to get to you next then. Thank you very much for the €5. But I also saw Marcy Trost, who I just recently got to meet at the IAJGS conference. So I always love when I see people that I've gotten to meet in person. Which big thing I should say too. Again, Rootstech is coming up in March, and I'll be at Rootstack. So if anyone wants to come out and meet me, and there's going to be some other genealogy YouTubers out there too. I won't be the only one. But yeah, so Marcy, I ended up with random 1% Mongolian and Upper Central Asian. Can't find them on the white paper. What gives? Yeah, I'm not sure. When I was looking before for the Russian Germans or whatever, it wasn't showing up. It was showing up in one section, so I need to read it more thoroughly. I've basically just kind of overviewed it. Like I've certain parts I've read very in depth, other parts I've kind of not focused on. When I got to the precision recall part, I didn't really focus on anything after that. So it's been a busy day and a half since they released all this. So all right, well, now we're going to get into Valdemies, and I do appreciate that. €5. Thank you very much. Another time I should mention, for those that really want me to review your results, I really doubt that I'm going to be able to do that many more of them. So if you do want your results reviewed on here, make sure, if you do a super sticker of the equivalent of $5 US or more, I guarantee that I will do your results here on stream. So thank you very much, Valdemies. Helps me out greatly. So you get that benefit. Then you also get the benefit of helping support this channel, helping me being able to continue doing live streams like this. So, before we jump into that, let's do, this was completely unexpected. My thoughts so far, it seems I got my Eastern Czechia and North Central European from my paternal side, but I have no idea where they could be from. The closest thing I'm aware of is a man who probably came from Danzig in the 1600s, but that's too many generations ago to seriously consider. Yeah, that's a lot of sticky DNA. My Finnish and Swedish percentages are now roughly the same as on MyHeritage, while MyHeritage claims the remaining 3% is Baltic. Interesting. So, yeah, let's see. Let us know, Valdemies, what you would expect. Because I think it's, if I remember correctly, based on what I'm looking at here, it is basically just Finnish. But yeah. So, okay. So what's changed? So Finland, 97% has now gone down to 92%. Sweden has gone up to 5% from 3%. And then that Eastern Czechia and that North Central Europe now coming in at 2% and 1%. And I think with these small percentages, it kind of goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier in the stream about how a lot of these newer results, not just with Ancestry, but 23andMe, and maybe even MyHeritage. I'll need to look at the ones for MyHeritage again, but they all seem to have a lot of people getting the 1% and 2% and things like that. And it makes me wonder, is it just that they are getting so much better that it's like, oh, wow, they really were able to pick out this Eastern Czechia ancestor that's, a fourth great grandparent, or a fifth great grandparent or whatever, that 2%, and specifically North Central Europe at this 1%. And, that's actually, that's something that truly is in the ancestry that you could find. Or is it just they've made it so granular that their ability to get good precision and recall isn't really there? And so that's the big question going forward that we'll hopefully be able to figure out is how confident can we be with a lot of these new smaller amounts, which once again, using the term confidence, I don't know if Dan Edwards is in here, but Dan Edwards is like a specificity checker with a lot of that stuff. Like, no, that term, you did it wrong. But it's good. You need to keep that stuff in mind. But with it, either way, with these precision and recall numbers, we look at these and it does give you an idea. Is it making sense with what you're getting? Yeah, there you are. I knew you were in here. But yeah, it really can make a difference. And so, that's why it is really good when you are getting stuff that you're not expecting or stuff that you were expecting but aren't getting. See what is the precision, what is the recall. So yeah, so very, very interesting. And I did see Valdemese over 90% finish is very expected due to endogamy and a bit of Swedish expected, also from a confirmed connection. The final 10% changes depending on the test. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And that's when it comes down to the usefulness of these results for a genealogist. It's all about what can we discover from this that will help us in our genealogy research. So with this Eastern Czechia, North Central Europe readings, if there was something in Valdeme's ancestry that, there was an ancestor where maybe it didn't quite make sense, but then all of a sudden, oh, wait, if they went from Eastern Czechia to Finland, maybe there was this migration that they were a part of, or things like, so it's just a way of like, okay, what might we expect? And if we do find things that correlate with that, following along with it. So, great example, or an example I always like to use are Jewish readings because they kind of stand out amongst a lot of other ones. And so, if you are expecting a Northwestern European ancestry, but you get a couple of percentages of Jewish, actually stands out a lot. You get 2 or 3% Jewish and you're expecting all Northwestern European. Well, as you start to look at your, third great grandparent level, fourth great grandparent level, you want to keep in your mind, okay, is there anybody that seems to possibly stand out as possibly having Jewish ancestry? So, with this having the Finnish, being so endogamous, which is one of the reasons why I think it's common that a lot of people say, with Finnish readings, they can catch on to it pretty well. But then the rest of that, the extraneous stuff that, my heritage gives you something different, ancestry gives you something different, 23andMe, family tree DNA, living DNA, the 20 billion GEDmatch calculators, genome link, circle DNA, all of there's so many that do the admixtures now. But yeah, if it's like every site you see, it's something different. It's yeah, very true. It is important. It is important. I think for me, that's one of the difficulties too with being a genealogy educator, I guess, is that you do have to walk the tightrope sometimes of trying to make things understandable enough for the layman without misrepresenting what is actually meant. Because you say one thing and it makes sense to someone who's a layman, but then you say that same thing to someone who's an expert and they're like thrown off because they're expecting you to use terminology that actually fits what it's supposed to be. And, statistics is definitely not one of my strong suits. It is not. But yeah. So, okay. Where are we at? I've been going for hour 20, so not too bad. So we'll do a couple more. So let's jump back in and we're going to scroll up. Yeah, I was last at Piggy. So we'll do Adam Scott. Yeah, there we go. Adam posted what I wanted. All right. So Adam, before and after results and the comparison, I'm glad the results are getting much closer to my tree, though I don't believe my Scottish should be that high. I believe that the remaining Northwestern European needs to be split up a bit, especially as all my heritage is updated results. I've combined percentage. Oh, whoops. What did I just do? I accidentally hit the back button on my mouse. I don't know if anyone else has one of those mouses that has like the extra buttons on the side, but I have that and I accidentally hit it. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, believe that the remaining Northwestern Europe needs to be split up a bit, especially as on my heritage results. I've combined percentage of 30% Danish and Dutch, which is an interesting comparison to these results. The German results, along with others, still fills in some gaps and hopefully can help me find a mystery ancestor my mom's side has been looking for since my second great-grandfather was born in 1878. Glad the Irish is getting more rounded, and I'm sure that my great-grandmother would appreciate Welsh ancestry despite her no longer being here. Yeah. And so here we've got the What's Changed page. And I don't know why I didn't mention this before for everyone that's like confused, but for those that are like, how do I get to the What's Changed page? Didn't show up there. Basically, when you're on this part, scroll down, and it's like down here-ish. I don't even know if that's coming up for you all, but it's like it's at the bottom of the page. So yeah. So here we've got Adam's results. That did not make it bigger. I just have to zoom in then, I guess. Or not. What is... Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have England and Northwestern Europe split from 68% down to 42%, Southeastern England and Northwestern Europe, 15% West Midlands, 3% East Midlands, Central Scotland and Northern Ireland going up that percentage point, which they were saying, you know, they didn't think they should have that much Scottish, but with the reading being Central Scotland and Northern Ireland, it is kind of like, okay, well, maybe it's not all Scottish that's right there. But Ireland, 10% split cleanly into 8% Munster and 2% Leinster. Cornwall now coming up at 5%. The Netherlands going away. Northwestern Germany coming in at 3%, and Southern Wales coming in at 3%. So I think with the Northwestern Germany, that makes a ton of sense that that's where the Netherlands readings probably went to. For the Southern Wales, I mean, I'm sure that probably came out of somewhere over here because it looks like England and Northwestern Europe dropped a bit because it was 68% and now it's 60%, I believe, if I did the math correctly in my head. So yeah, so very interesting, kind of a, you know, the same sort of thing we've been seeing with a lot of these Northwestern European results where, you know, the England and Northwestern Europe getting split up amongst a lot. Like we basically keep seeing a lot of the same things over and over. Like hopefully we'll start seeing it where, you know, these 3% and 2% and 1%, you know, start making more sense in future updates. Because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of these smaller percentages, I do wonder if they are more of an issue with their ability to read such granular regions. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of folks talking about their stuff. Trying to see if there's anything to mention, but all right. So let's continue on. And we're at 5:25. All right. So I think I'm only gonna do like 2 more. So these next 2, if you want to make sure that you're one of them, you know, you can do the super sticker for $5 US or equivalent or more. But I'm going to give everyone kind of a second to be able to do that while I take a drink and all that. But for those that I'm not getting to your results today, please still, you know, if you haven't posted them in the Discord server, please post them. You know, we do have a very active Discord server. We're always trying to get it even more active and get more people posting and doing stuff. But as you can see, we got a lot of folks in here. And we do also have a lot of stuff where, you know, you can get help if you need help requests, you need stuff transcribed, translated, whatever. So, yeah. So, all right. So with Yepama, unfortunately, it looks like they posted 23andMe and Ancestry. They didn't post the actual what's changed. Neither did Lucky 13. But Bint Adnan, I think we are going to go with Bint. All right. And so with Bint Ancestry, and if you're in here in the chat, let us know. But with Bint's results, we're getting a good mix of Jewish and European ancestry here. So we've got Ashkenazi Jews, 50% now split into the 2 Ashkenazi Jewish available reference panels. Ashkenazi Jews in Central and Southeastern Europe at 34%, and Ashkenazi Jews in Eastern Europe and Russia at 16%. And I have found that anybody that has Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry, we are all getting these results. And for the people that are a majority of Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry, I mean, I'd say like 90% or more, it seems that it's either they're getting like 50% and 50%. So 50% Central and Southeastern European Ashkenazi Jews, and then 50% Eastern European and Russian Ashkenazi Jews, or it's a 75-25 split. I haven't seen much others than that. Like it's always like really close to 50-50 or really close to 75-25. So if anyone has outliers to that, definitely let me know. I mean, this one's kind of the biggest outlier I've seen. But even then, like if you look at it from the standpoint of, well, from 50%, 34%, and 16%, it actually does make sense of like, it's very close to that 25%, 75% there. So very interesting. But, you know, when you look at the map, she didn't include the map. So I didn't tell anybody to include the map. But when you look at the map of what they have for those regions, the overlap is huge. And the overlap is largely covering the area that's known as the Pale of Settlement. So it is the place where the Jews were allowed to live in the Russian Empire. And so it's like you've got one that's kind of like, okay, we're leaning a little bit more Central and Western Europe, but still a lot of Southeastern Europe. And then the other one's more Eastern Europe and Russia, but both converging very much over basically Ukraine and Poland and Lithuania and Moldova, Romania, Hungary was in there too, a little bit, Belarus, you know, just kind of like a lot of the typical places that you find a lot of Ashkenazi Jewish families coming from. And then for the other side, which I'm guessing, you know, one parent is Jewish, one parent is either like British or Irish or just a general kind of like Northwestern European. And I was going to say, I wonder if they're American or British or something else. But based on this, I'm guessing that they're American. So probably just a typical American sort of thing of, you know, one parent's Jewish, one parent's not. And then the non-Jewish parent, big mixture of European ancestry. But largely English based on this. So England and Northwestern Europe from 40%. Now it's 13% Devon and Somerset, 7% West Midlands, 6% East Midlands. France reading going away, and the Scotland reading really increasing. We've got 15% Central Scotland and Northern Ireland, and 6% Hebridus. Am I getting better at it? Please let me know, everybody. Am I getting better? Hebridus and Western Highlands, Scotland is 6%. So a lot of this England and Northwestern European going into the Scotland reading, it seems, because what is that, 26% out of 40%? So yeah, there's 14% of that England and Northwestern Europe 40 that is now gone. So that's probably in the Scottish readings. Southern Wales popping in at 3%, Germanic Europe disappearing, Norway disappearing. So yeah, everyone keeps posting how to say it, but you got to give me a thumbs up or thumbs. How did I say it? Hebrides. Is it he or he? Like H-E-E. Hebrides. Hebrides. Bradies. Sorry. I really hope I'm not like making people angry. Hey, bruddies. Hey, bruddies. That sounds like a greeting. Like, hey, brudda. Like, hey, bruddies. Hey, bruddies. All right. So, Valdemies, we've already gotten you. And all right. So I think we're just gonna do one more. So let's. Oh, E like bread. So okay. So Hebrides. Oh, wait, no, bread. Bread. Yeah, what am I? Yeah. If I'm pronouncing bread like breed, I'm probably confusing a lot of people. Yeah, sorry. All right. My cousin's here. Hey, cuz. My mom's results 90%. Oh, wow, 90% and 10%. Interesting. So yeah, that's it. Wow. You're the only one I've seen that's outside of that 50-50 or the 75-25 so far. Sure, I'll probably see more. I need to see a lot more anyway. I need to see hundreds. That's literally like I've only seen like 20 or 30 at this point. I need hundreds, you know. All right, so we're gonna go on and Pirate Cat. I don't know. She didn't post what I was hoping for. Yeah. So, all right, yes. So we're gonna Cal Rock, and I think actually Cal Rock got it got last time. So there we go, Callum. There you are. All right, so Callum, you're gonna be the last one for today, I believe. You know what? I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll do one or two more. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how I feel. So yeah. So okay. So we've got what we need. My father is Scottish, with his father being from Shetland Islands and his mother being from Aberdeenshire. Aberdeenshire? Aberdeenshire? I don't know. Warwickshire. So it's Shire. Aberdeenshire. I'm going to get it. My mother is Singaporean, with her father being Singaporean Chinese and her mother being from Sussex, England. I think the North English could be from my paternal grandmother's unknown grandfather, who is from East Lothian, but his ancestry stretched down to North England. Not familiar with this. East Lothian. No idea where their Irish is. Apparently it's on my dad's side, but I haven't been able to trace it in my family tree. Yeah. Okay. I thought I did. So we've got England and Northwestern Europe split from 29% into 23% Southeastern England and Northwestern Europe, 10% Northeast England. Then we've got the 29% Scotland, and that split into 10% Hebrides and Western Highlands, Scotland, and then 7% Northeast Scotland. Central and Eastern China and Taiwan, no change at 21%. And was it, let's see. Yeah, my mother's Singaporean, with her father Singaporean Chinese. So the one grandparent, that's the 20 some odd percent, and her mother being Sussex, England. So Central and Eastern China and Taiwan, no change. The Southern China, just keeping with the Asian theme, no change. And Northern and Central Philippines, no change. So I'm guessing no major changes for any of the Asian results for Ancestry. So as we mentioned before, Northwestern Europe seems to be the big focus, and Europe as a whole is kind of the major focus for this update. But then continuing on, Ireland 6% is now split into Leinster, Munster, and Donegal at 7%, 5%, and 2%. Then Iceland going down to from 5% to 3%. Norway staying the same. Wales becoming more defined at Southern Wales and going up a percentage point. And then getting that new Germans and Russia reading too at 1%. So interesting. Yeah. And no idea where the Irish is. Apparently it's on my dad's side. And the reason they say on the dad's side, I'm going to show it because they posted it. This is the side view tool. So for everyone that was here in the beginning where we was talking about phasing, figuring out what DNA came from mom, what came from dad, this is one of the results of that tool. So you can get an idea, okay, well, what's this unexpected thing? Where's it coming from? And so that is where that's coming from here for Callum. So yeah, very, very interesting. And yeah, let's see. And we'll keep going a little bit. Keep going just a tad. All right, so Drea. I thought I saw Drea. Yeah. Doing a short that's just clips of the evolving pronunciations of Hebrides in this stream would be so funny. Yeah, if someone just clips every time I try to pronounce it, I think that'd be hilarious. Just put like some of that, America's Funniest Home Videos music in the background or something. But, yeah, so, all right, so Drea. And you know what? I think I saw Karma Gal in here. I'm going to do hers too. Karma Gal is one of my Patreon patrons and probably one of the longest and most supportive of all of my Patreon patrons. All of them very supportive, obviously, but I just mean that, she has supported the most So yeah, we'll make sure we'll get karmas. So based on my tree, I was expecting something along the lines of 95% Filipino, 3% Chinese, and 2% Southern European at best. Chinese is lower on Ancestry, and I remain surprised that the Southern European reads as Northwestern Italian rather than the anticipated Spanish. Okay. Also, Southern Acadia and Southern Wales jump scare in this update. 23andMe's latest also clocked a bit of unexpected British Western European. So curious about what about the European DNA is pinging that more Northwestern European rather than Southern. The 4 Philippines region breakdown: Central and Southern Philippines, Luzon, Northern and Central Philippines, and Western Visayas look generally correct relative to my tree, which I think I've been hearing that. I think that's been the case for a long time. Like the readings for Filipinos have been pretty good, especially compared to a lot of other Asian results. But kudos to Ancestry for getting that specific. The history of the regions lend themselves to being more genetically distinct than one might originally think. Very cool. So I'm really glad we got to Dreas, because I think it's always great when we can get a wide variety of things. And, usually we get a lot of Northwestern European because obviously, I have a very American and British English speaking crowd overall. And it's pretty much, European. So Central and Southern Philippines, 80%, no change. Luzon went down a percentage. Northern and Central Philippines went up a percentage. Northern Italy went from 3% to now 1% Northwestern Italy. And I know you mentioned that you were expecting Spanish results. And honestly, I don't like Northwestern Italy and Spain are kind of far, but at the same time, because of the Mediterranean connection, that's where it makes some sense to me. So if you were expecting Spanish, I guess it also depends how much you know about your European ancestry. I think you said at best it was 2%, which makes me think that it's like a 4th great grandparent or something of yours that was, your most recent European ancestor, which probably means they were born in either the really early 1800s or the late 1700s. Let me know if I'm right, because that'd be I always like to hear if I'm right or not. But just kind of based on that, it's like, okay, well, that far back, have you been able to trace very confidently that ancestry? And if you have you found that ancestry does seem to be in a specific area in Spain for a while, or is it kind of like moving around? Or I don't know, just looking at the history and seeing, is there anything that could indicate of, even though they were in Spain, a generation or 2 or 3 before, did they come from Northern Italy? So that's the big thing with these results, I always think as well, of that's the genealogical use to them. So yeah. All right. So Western Visayas, we have 2%, no change. Acadian coming in at 1%. Central and Eastern China and Taiwan staying 1%. Southern Wales now coming in at 1%. So yeah, very, very interesting results. Let me jump forward. Let's see. Oh, Visayas. What did I say? Visayas? Visayas. Okay. Hopefully I got that right. give me a thumbs up in the chat if I got it right. Yeah. Gina, where are you posting these? If you want to see my results of a mutt, I can post it. So all of these are posted in my Discord server. So for those that want to join, Charlie posted a link earlier. I'm pretty sure I still have a link in the description in the top, and I wouldn't be surprised if Charlie posts another one, or if any of my other admin mods are in here, feel free to post the link. But we are getting towards the end. I keep saying I'm only going to do one more, and then I'm like, I'll keep going. But actually, I hate to say it, but I'm looking at the time now, and I actually do kind of need this next one, because I did say I was going to do karmas. This next one, I think this is going to have to be my last one, unfortunately. But the conversation is still going to continue in Discord, and the stream's not going to end any, I'm still going to go for a little bit. We're going to chat about this one. We're going to chat about other stuff from the chat, because I see people posting interesting stuff to mention too. But yeah. So all you need is lunch. I did expect some Sephardic Jewish if you do find my results. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I only saw the first part of the Sephardic Jewish. I didn't read the second half. I thought you were talking about it. So yeah, we're not going to get to your, I don't know if we'll get to your, so I don't know. Maybe I need to do another stream earlier or something than next Friday and do more of these. But all right. So for Karma Gal, who I know is in here, I saw her chatting with a bunch of folks. We've got 57% Germanic Europe now being split in 5% Northwestern Germany, 4% Southern Germanic Europe. So a huge drop. England and Northwestern Europe now 25% is a 49% Southeastern England and Northwestern Europe. So definitely where a lot of that Germanic Europe went into, I'm pretty sure. Northern Wales and Northwest England 11%. And West Midlands 8%. And Karma, let us know. Did I skip it? Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Some new stuff. Italian is not very interesting. It's even my mom's, not dad's. Oh yeah, Karma, let us know, what do you expect? What percentages you would expect generally. But yeah, I mean, the big thing here is that this huge amount of Germanic Europe, which I think would have made anyone go crazy if they didn't expect any German ancestry, is now dropped to almost nothing. And even then, the biggest percentage, 5% Northwestern Germany, is the part of Germany that ties the closest to the British Isles. But then England and Northwestern Europe, we're getting that big amount now. It's up to, what is that, 68%? So that's, big amount. Wales gone, but we have that reading here in Northern Wales and Northwest England. So I'm sure that's where the Wales went. Denmark going up to 13%. That's a big jump. Interesting. Scotland gone. The Netherlands, big jump, now up to 8%. Baltics coming in, defining the 1% Lithuania. And then northeastern Italy coming in at 1%. So yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, Karma, let us know just kind of a general breakdown, I guess. Yeah, and I think it would be interesting, like what Sebastian's asking, anyone with Akkadian percentage that can relate to. I think you were talking about the last result. So, but yeah. A lot of those, like the Akkadian reading, of course, one we talked about before, the Quebec reading, and then there were some other the Germans in Russia, the Russian Germans, which they don't specifically define as the Volga Germans. I think they're keeping it as because it's there's more than just the Volga Germans that went to Russia, I believe. So all right, so I'm going to go through. I'm just going to kind of scroll through chat, see if there's anything that pops out of like questions or comments that I think are really useful. Oh, interesting. David Irwin, Ancestry has deleted DNA Painter subscribers from being able to upload their Ancestry DNA Painter results onto the DNA Painter site, which was used to solve brick wall great-great-grandparent lines. Yeah, so basically, I think what you're referring to is what a lot of people in my Discord for a while were calling the hack. And there was like a way to go and get the readings of the breakdown and then transfer that into DNA Painter so that you could compare your DNA matches to those regions. And I think this unfortunately feeds into the whole thing of why Ancestry doesn't have a chromosome browser in the first place. And that's that they're worried about people nefariously using it. And I know that there are ways that you could, but I even then, I don't think there's really much that you could even do about it. So it's like, I don't, I don't know. But either way, it's like with the chromosome browser, if they release that on Ancestry, it makes such a big difference. And they didn't have it, but they did have the chromosome painter, which is basically, it shows you your chromosomes and it shows you these DNA readings where on your chromosomes they're correlating to. So people were using those, putting them onto DNA Painter and being able to compare where they're matching their DNA matches to get an idea of, is this DNA match coming from that ancestry of mine? And I guess they've figured out that people were doing that, and they cut out the back door to be able to do that somehow. Yeah. So I did see this come in from Bear Var. Can you please talk a bit about the new Ashkenazi split? The two regions highly overlap, and where would Dutch, French, Ashkenazi fit? I did talk about this a little bit before in terms of the Ashkenazi split. I'm going to go up to the results we had before of somebody that had Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry. Here we go. So we've got the Ashkenazi Jewish split. And give me just one second. And while we don't have the map here, I wonder if I can pull up the map in a way that I'm comfortable showing. Oh, you know what? I can use, I just found out about a new tool. I wonder if it, do I have to have it enabled on there too? All right, we're gonna give it a shot and see how well it works. But I have a new tool that's a privacy blurring tool. So let's see, disable. But I'm going to choose someone that, if it does show their name, I'm not worried about it. So this is a great way for me to test out this tool real quick. All right, so let's see. So there we go. All right, nice blurring. All right, so yeah, so with these results, oh, I hate that sites do that. Ugh, all right, so with these results, we have this, the Ashkenazi Jews in Central and Southeastern Europe. And then we have this, the Ashkenazi Jews in Eastern Europe and Russia. And if you notice, they are overlapping right here, which covers a large portion of what was known as the Pale of Settlement. So the place where Jews were allowed to live in the Russian Empire. Now, it doesn't cover all of it, especially this side, the Ashkenazi Jews in Eastern Europe and Russia. That covers a ton of it, because the Pale basically was like, I don't know how far into Estonia it went, honestly. But it basically kind of was like, right, it's like almost like you can not exactly follow the Russian border, but you can kind of follow the Russian border down, and that's kind of generally it. And then mostly up here, down here, it's kind of the other side. So we get this side, which is leaning more towards Central and Western Europe, this side that's leaning more towards Eastern Europe and Russia. And, you know, I don't really think that any of these results are anything that's going to make Jewish genealogy easier. So yeah, it really isn't going to make it that much easier in figuring out, you know, looking at it and going, oh yeah, it must come from here, it must come from there. So with my new video that's going to be coming out soon that I recorded yesterday on these new results, I get a little bit more in depth about some of that stuff, and especially talking about, you know, with this family, we have this area and this area and this area of Ashkenazi Jewish, and some of it's falling in this one, some of it's falling in this one, but a lot of it's falling in both, you know? So yeah, unfortunately it's not showing much. And same thing with the Sephardic. The Sephardic one's interesting because with Sephardic, they broke it up. I'm just going to show it here. I'm not going to show the actual map or anything, because it doesn't matter as much. Where is it? Oh yeah, they've got it down here, don't they? In this more like defined regions or whatever. So, okay, so here we've got Sephardic Jews in North Africa, Sephardic Jews in the East Mediterranean. Now, this is very interesting because if you know about the history of Sephardic Jews, these are only two of the three main waves of Sephardic Jewish ancestry. So Sephardic Jewish ancestry is usually split into the Eastern Sephardic Jews, who largely left well before 1492, a large amount of them actually leaving in 1391, and then going into areas of the Ottoman Empire, so thus the East Mediterranean. Then you have the North African Jews, which they have defined here, Sephardic Jews in North Africa. And these were the Sephardic Jews that left Spain in 1492, right at the end of the Reconquista. And the Alhambra decree is signed, the Inquisition is enacted, and Jews have 4 months to leave, convert, or die. And those that leave largely go to North Africa, and that's this second wave. But the third wave, which is the one that I descend from, are the Western Sephardic Jews. And these were the Jews that during the Inquisition, they went to Portugal, because Portugal didn't have an Inquisition going on at that time. But later, Portugal decided that they wanted to marry into the Spanish crown. They needed to enact an Inquisition if that was going to happen, because if they're going to be connected, it's got to be pure Catholic kingdoms. And so they enact their own Inquisition, but don't allow the Jews to leave. And so those Jews become what's known as crypto Jews, the Jews that have to pretend to be Catholic, but secretly are Jewish. And then slowly over time, they start to escape from Portugal and end up in places like Amsterdam, Livorno, Italy, Hamburg, Bayonne and Bordeaux, Antwerp for a while, London, and the New World, Jamaica, Suriname, Curacao, technically the United States. Well, I mean, the ones in the United States they're not as hardcore. They basically allow any Jews to join their communities, whereas the Western Sephardic Jews in like Europe and elsewhere were very exclusionary. So if you weren't Sephardic, if you were Ashkenazi, you couldn't join those communities. So like in the Amsterdam community, we actually have a set of letters known as the attestations, which are literally letters from other Sephardic Jews of notoriety in their community, writing to the Jews or to the Muhammad, the governing board of the Amsterdam community, saying this person is a Sephardic Jew. We attest to it. And thus they would be allowed to be a part of that community. So with all of that, so we've got the Eastern Sephardic Jews, the North African Sephardic Jews, and the Western Sephardic Jews. And the Western Sephardic Jews are not defined yet. And I've always found it interesting because for me, when I look at my DNA results, it pops out. Like the cousins of mine that are Dutch Sephardic Jews coming from this, they pop out. Like, it's like, exactly. Like they're like, you look at a family tree, boom, you see it pretty much instantly. And so it's like, it makes me wonder, like, do they just not have the best population reference yet? Or have they just not even worked at it? I would hope they would have worked at it, but you never know. There are a lot of difficulties with the community because there was a lot of mixing starting in the 1800s in some of those communities. So Amsterdam, about 1811, a lot of changes happen. In the Netherlands overall, Napoleon's brother Ludwig is ruling over the Netherlands and very much beloved by the Netherlands too. And, all of these changes sweep through and causes cultural changes. And one of those was that a lot of the Sephardic Jews and Ashkenazi Jews of Amsterdam, who stayed separate largely, they interacted, but they didn't marry and have kids with each other. Well, all of a sudden, they started marrying and having kids with each other. And the first instances of my family of those mixing in my ancestors, it's like right at the beginning of the 1800s. So, but because of that, it's like, is there a difficulty? Because kind of like I was mentioning before with the PCA plot points, we're going to go back up. We're going to find it. There we go. So with the PCA plot points, if you get groups that are overlapping too much, it can be very difficult to be able to decipher that ancestry. So, if we zoom in on this chart and we can see, here, there's this huge overlap of all of these different ancestries. And it seems to be Scotland, light blue, Ireland, the gray circle, England, and British Isles. And you can see, like, this is why the British Isles are so hard to decipher, because there's so much overlap. And so when they're trying to decipher these Jewish panels as well, Sephardic Jewish, the Ashkenazi Jewish, and then the regions within those, or the subgroups within those, you get more, the overlap becomes harder and harder to sift through, I guess would be a way to say it. So yeah. So hopefully that kind of answered Berivar's question. Yeah, DNA Painter found a workaround. Oh, okay, so there is a workaround. Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah. I honestly, the first I had actually heard about it even happening was that comment earlier. So good to hear in the same stream we got it resolved. So, all right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it for today's stream. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining today. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. Great place to just mention, for those that would like to get one-on-one consultations with me, I do offer those. Just send me an email at GeneaVlogger@gmail.com. I can give you more details. I do half-hour and hour-long sessions. And then on top of that, a new video that'll be on my family's new results, including those Sephardic Jamaican, or actually it's not just Sephardic, but a Jamaican result that is mixed Sephardic, Ashkenazi, and European, and a little bit of African in there. So it'll be interesting. And of course, I'll see everybody on my stream next week, Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's the time now. I'm setting it. We've been doing it consistently for a while at this time. So very good, very good. But once again, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. I am Jarrett Ross, the GeneaVlogger, and I am out. See y'all later.